Can the Texans actually win the Super Bowl this year? Dwain McFarland's Rookie Supermodel is live, and we've got a new mock draft that has the Vikings making a huge move. So let's go through it in the Roundup. Last week, the Houston Texans traded for wide receiver Stefon Diggs, and the betting markets adjusted accordingly. So do we think they can win the Super Bowl this year? The Houston Texans are trying to maximize CJ Stroud's rookie deal, and I think they're doing a pretty great job of that so far. They traded for Stefon Diggs, so now you've got an offense that has Diggs, Nico Collins, Tank Dell, you've got Joe Mixon at running back now, and they kept Dalton Schultz. So I think these are great pieces for CJ Stroud. Now, when we talk about the betting market, all of this is from DraftKings. They are now the favorites to win the AFC South at plus 110. They have the 5th best odds to win the AFC at plus 850, and they have the 7th best odds to win the Super Bowl at plus 1600, still behind teams though like the Ravens, the Lions, the Bills, and the Bengals. Do I think that this team can win the Super Bowl in 2024? I'm optimistic, and I want to say I hope so, but I'm leaning towards probably not. I'm going to be very excited though to see how CJ Stroud can build off of his rookie season with more weapons added and a better team. We'll see what they do. Dwain McFarland's wide receiver rookie supermodel is live at fantasylife.com. So let's break down the top wide receivers in this class. The wide receiver rookie supermodel is live at fantasylife.com. So if you want to go and check out everything other than tier 1 and tier 2, because that's what we're talking about right now, make sure you head over there. That's where I'm at right now on the Board Pro 75. And before we get into tier 1 and tier 2, I want to talk about the supermodel overview that you can see right here. The inputs are in order of their correlation to fantasy production in a wide receiver's first 2 years in the NFL. So we're going to be talking about projected draft capital. That's based on NFL mock draft databases. Collegiate program quality, adjusted career receiving yards per team pass attempt, which is a lot to say, career targeted, quarterback rating, career touchdowns per game, and then their age. So in tier 1, you might think to yourself, oh, it's just going to be Marvin Harrison Jr., and that is where you're wrong. It's Marvin Harrison Jr. and Malik Nabers, which I think goes to show how deep this wide receiver class is this season. The supermodel score for Marvin Harrison Jr., though, is out of this world. It is in the 100th percentile. He's going to be incredible. I don't think you need me to continue to tell you that, so I'm really excited to see where he ends up. And then, like I said before, not just Marvin Harrison Jr. in tier 1, it is also Malik Nabers. His supermodel score in the 95th percentile. Again, have the same thoughts here. I'm really excited to see where he ends up. The one player that I want to talk about more in depth today, though, is Washington wide receiver Rome Odunze. He is the lone player in tier 2, which I think says a lot about him. So I kind of want to talk about him. Wide receiver supermodel score in the 86th percentile. And when we look at some of the data that Dwain has pulled, he did not have as good of seasons in the first 3 years compared to Malik Nabers and Marvin Harrison Jr. But I will say that he was able to kind of turn things around, and he was able to improve every single year during his college career. And I just want to say, I don't think that we should believe that that's going to stop once he gets to the NFL. When we talk about stats, you can see up here, he's performed on par with Nabers, right? 29% targets per route run against man coverage, 25% targets per route run against zone coverage, and 75% of his contested targets he caught in 2023. So I think that's a pretty good mark. When we look at comps and everything, it was a little bit hard for Dwain McFarland to comp him, so we can talk about that in a little bit. But I just want to kind of bring up down here, he has him with Jalen Waddle and Christian Watson, but I want to bring up right here what he's going to look like in the NFL. And I think right now, he's going as a top 36 wide receiver in round 5. Underdog fantasy drafts, and I think that is giving him respect, like Dwain McFarland said here. I think it acknowledges that he has a little bit of red flags. I don't even want to say red flags. I want to say maybe beige flags, but we want to shoot for that upside. And so again, we don't know where Rome Odunze is going to land in this year's NFL draft, but I think that obviously has a lot to do with his fantasy production depending on where he goes. He's been mocked to the Bears. He's been mocked to the New York Giants, which are two very different teams in very different situations right now. So I think right now this is a super fun guy to watch. He's one of my favorites as well, but I think treating him as that wide receiver 3, again, you know his red flags, you're shooting for the upside, and let's see where he ends up on draft night. We've got an updated mock draft from Matthew Freedman, so let's go through the fantasy relevant picks. So to kick things off in Matthew Freedman's mock draft, he has the Bears drafting quarterback Caleb Williams out of USC. I don't think there's anything we need to go into with this because this is pretty much the standard across any and all mock drafts. When we get to the second overall pick, though, this is where things already get a little bit interesting. He's got Jayden Daniels going to the Commanders. Now, it's usually Drake Maye in this situation, and we can see that he has the Patriots taking Drake Maye here at number 3. But I think it's also pretty standard across a lot of mock drafts that you're seeing that 3 quarterbacks go in the first 3 picks. It's really just flipped between if people believe that the Commanders are going to take Drake Maye or if they're going to take Jayden Daniels. So 3 quarterbacks off the board with the first 3 picks. Then we've got the Arizona Cardinals taking Marvin Harrison Jr., the wide receiver that we just talked about from the wide receiver rookie supermodel. And again, this is one pick that I'm watching on draft night because there have been rumors from Monty Austin-Fort saying that, hey, we're listening to offers. So I'm curious if they're going to stay with that number 4 overall pick. If they do, though, they get the wide receiver 1 in this draft. They give Kyler Murray another weapon because Marquise Brown is gone. I like this one a lot. Then we get to the 5th overall pick in the draft, and Matthew Freedman has the Vikings taking quarterback J.J. McCarthy going to them. This is interesting. Projected trade is that the Vikings get the 5th overall pick and the Chargers get their number 11 and number 23 overall picks. So if we remember the Vikings a couple weeks ago, they traded with the Houston Texans to get those 2 picks in the first round, 11, and then they got 23 from the Chargers. They got 23 from the Texans. So if we look at this and they are using that 11 and 23 to move up, they go and get a quarterback. I'm just really curious if J.J. McCarthy is truly going to be a top 5 pick in this draft. He's been getting a lot of steam over these last couple months, so it'll be interesting to see what they do there. At number 6, we've got Malik Nabers going to the Giants. Again, wide receiver 2 from Dwain McFarland's Rookie Supermodel, so I really, really like that call out. And then when we keep going here, we've got the Bears selecting Rome Odunze at 9. And I like the call out here too because he says, hey, if they are going to go and get a wide receiver, it's not really something of need because they went out and they got Keenan Allen and they also have DJ Moore, but that would make them a pretty lethal pass catching unit for their new quarterback who is going to probably be Caleb Williams. So that's something to watch out there for. I like that move though for Rome Odunze. When we go to 10, he has the Jets taking tight end Brock Bowers. If you continue to read the supermodel, you're going to see that Brock Bowers is tight end 1 of this class. Should be very, very good. Scored very well in the rookie supermodel, so something to watch out for there. Then he has the Broncos taking quarterback Bo Nix at 12. I think a quarterback for the Broncos just makes sense in any situation because they only have Jarrett Stidham. So the Broncos taking a quarterback is pretty much on par with everything else that we've seen. When we continue to go through some of the fantasy relevant picks here, we're going to keep going down and we're going to see that he has Brian Thomas Jr. going to the Chargers at pick 23. Again, this is one that they traded with the Minnesota Vikings. So again, I think that this one makes sense for them because their wide receiver room is, not very good right now. So that's a really good pick from them. And then when we keep going here, we're going to continue to see we've got A.D. Mitchell going to the Bills at number 28. Again, I really like this call out. There's been some rumors that the Bills are going to try and trade into some of the top picks to get an even better wide receiver. Not that A.D. Mitchell is not a good one, but they did part ways with Stefon Diggs. They traded him to the Texans. So they need to get someone out there to really help Josh Allen. I really do like this pick though with A.D. Mitchell going there. And then when we continue here, we've got the Chiefs taking Xavier Worthy at number 32. And again, I think this is a good one. I know they went out and they got Marquise Brown, but I think Xavier Worthy adding another weapon. How many years have we said it where we said, hey, since Tyreek Hill was traded, you need to go and get a weapon for Patrick Mahomes. I think this is another great pick. I've seen them getting wide receivers in almost every mock that I've read. So there we go, fantasylife.com to go and check out the full breakdown where you can read everything from Matthew Freedman in this mock draft. So make sure you go and check it out. Thank you so much for joining me this week on the Roundup. Make sure you go to fantasylife.com. We've got everything that you need to know for the 2024 NFL Draft right there. And of course, while you're there, make sure you subscribe to our newsletter, fantasylife.com. We'll see you next time.